Welcome to the channel, everyone. I'm Skratch. This is another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. I am currently on the test server, guys. We're going to have a sneak peek at all the new heroes coming to Dragonheir in Season 3, the Echoes of the Deep. This season is promising to be richer on rewards and events, catering to the hardcore players. This video is sponsored by Dragonheir Silent Gods. Big shout out to them for continuing to support our content and sponsor this video as well. If you guys are new to the channel or you haven't tried Dragonheir Silent Gods just yet, what are you waiting for? Dive Deep Battle Peak Season 3 is almost here, starting on the 22nd of March. You can download the game by using my link in the description down below or in the pinned comment, or by scanning the QR code you see on the screen. Now, if you guys want to see more things related to Season 3, I already released a video where we actually made an overview of Season 3 because I cannot put everything in one video. Make sure you guys check that out. In this video, we're going to focus strictly on the new champions. And of course, we're going to have a brand new summoning banner only for the new heroes added in Season 3. Once in a blue moon. The Odyssey featured summons, and my god, we have some new amazing heroes that I cannot wait to play, guys. We're going to have 3 new schools of damage. Corrosis for the poison element, we're going to have Shadow for the necrosis, and we're going to have Aura for the radiance. We're going to have 31 new heroes, guys. Approximately 15-16 legendaries, around the 12 or 11 epics, if I'm not mistaken, and a few rares. Now, in order to get to the rare heroes, we're gonna have to head over to the gallery and scroll all the way to the bottom and find them. So, I am expecting to see rares only for the new schools of damage, like in Season 2, right? So, there we go. We passed the epics. We have the very first rare hero, which is, of course, Restaurant Corrosion. We have a crit damage aura for all battles, and probably you guys are wondering, Skratch, what is Corrosion doing, right? It's a new school of damage. Basically, Corrosion, guys, will gradually drain HP over time on the enemy, so continuously dealing damage. Now, it will be based on how much of the initial damage is converted to Corrosion. So with the passive, basic attacks have a chance of dealing additional damage, and the additional damage will convert to Corrosion. Then you have the battle skill, deals damage to enemies within range and converts 50% of the damage to Corrosion. And the ultimate deals damage to enemies within range and converts 50% of the damage dealt to Corrosion. So that's how Corrosion is going to work. You're basically converting the damage. This hero in particular doesn't seem too insane, but we're gonna have to wait and see some of the legendaries, the epics, and kind of like make a decision after. Then we have Sabrina, another Corrosion hero, and we have an attack aura for Arena. The passive converts 25% of the current Corrosion to damage immediately when the hero skill deals damage to enemies. It's kind of like instantly activating that. Then you have the battle skill, fires an orb that can bounce multiple times in between enemies, dealing poison damage each time and converting 50% of the damage dealt to Corrosion. And then you have the ultimate, deals poison damage to enemies within range and gains attack up. So attack up is probably going to be pretty beneficial for them too. The more damage you deal, the more you're going to convert into Corrosion. So all that Corrosion then will just constantly do damage on the target. Then moving over to the next rare hero, which probably is going to be from the Radiance element, an Aura one. I'm just trying to see if I'm not missing it. There we go. So we have a Cycle. Seems pretty nice design-wise. I love the dreadlocks. That actually looks pretty cool. So we have an attack aura in all battles. Then we have the passive. Enters the Blaze state when in possession of 100 aura energy. Gains 50 aura energy as the battle starts. Blaze consumes the aura energy when casting skills to enhance skill effects without gaining more aura energy in the process. Then you have the battle skill, gains 10 aura energy, dealing radiant damage to enemies within range. And you have the ultimate, strikes enemies within range 2 times, Each strike dealing radiant damage consumes 20 aura energy and ignores 25% of the enemy's defense in the blaze state, and gains 30 aura energy if not in the blaze state. So basically, you want to enter the blaze state. You're going to be able to do that when you get enough energy, and once you're in that phase, you're basically going to enhance the skills and deal more damage, you know. And it's going to last as long as you have the aura energy, basically, which is interesting. I don't think this is going to be very powerful this season, or for the very moment. It's not going to be the meta one, you know. I feel like corrosion is going to dominate everything else, but we're going to have to wait and see. And we have a new rare, which is a shadow one, and that is Sifla. She actually looks pretty nice, and yeah, decent stats. No aura, but the passive, dealing damage, grants shadow energy. When the hero has enough shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill, grants attack up to all allies for 5 seconds once the hero's ultimate skill fully recharges. Very nice to get that from a passive from a rare hero. Then the battle skill slashes an enemy twice, each deals necrotic damage, then gains 30 shadow energy. The ultimate releases shadow energy to strike the target location 3 times, each dealing necrotic damage to enemies within range, with a chance of ignoring 25% of the target's defense. So this is not going to be based on summons, guys, which is very important because summons in general were not very powerful, you know. So it's nice to see that we are getting something a bit different. Now, what I'm gonna do instead, rather than going to the gallery, I'm gonna go to the summoning portal, to the banner, and I'm going to pick all the heroes from here. Okay, we do have 2 new heroes for the Feymander. For the Pillar of Trials, we're going to have the new legendary for the legendary event. I covered those ones already together with some of the legendary artifacts in the Season 3 overview video. Check that out if you want to find out more things that are coming in Season 3. Starting with the epics. Let's go from the Radiance with the aura. We have Theohain. She was the driver of the Mecha Torque, and we have her as a hero now. Attack aura in arena. With the passive, enters the blaze state when in possession of 100 aura energy, increases the hero's attack permanently by 5% when they consume aura energy, up to 10 stacks, which is pretty nice. The battle skill gains more aura energy, then strikes the enemies 3 times, each strike dealing radiant damage, while in the blaze state consumes 5 aura energy to deal additional radiant damage. No more than 50% of the hero's attack to enemies with each strike. So it's all about shadow energy and aura energy for these 2 elemental affinities, and for the corrosion is completely different, but these are pretty similar, the aura and the shadow, in my opinion. Then you have the ultimate. AoE strikes enemies within range, dealing radiant damage, consumes 20 aura energy, and ignores 30% of the enemy's defense in the blaze state. Gains 30 aura energy if not in the blaze state. So you need to be in the blaze state to basically kind of like really push in most of the damage. Moving over to the next epic, and we have Taldi, which is a shadow hero. Is Vorash's twin brother. We have a defense aura for arena battles. The passive, dealing damage, grants shadow energy. When the hero has enough shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. When gaining shadow energy, grants 30% of the obtained energy to another shadow ally. So basically, you don't have the regular ultimate energy. You're going to rely on the shadow energy. So you're gaining this, and then you're going to be able to use your skills. That's what I understood so far with a shadow. Casts the spell 3 times. Each time grants the hero 20 energy, which again is going to help you to use the ultimate. And then you have the ultimate, strikes enemies within range 3 times, dealing necrotic damage, and grants all shadow allies 10 shadow energy. So basically it helps the other shadow heroes to get their ultimate energy up and running. Then we have Cheater, another shadow hero, enlightenment for all battles. Deals additional 4% max HP damage whenever the hero skill deals damage to enemies. Okay, that's interesting. Enemy max HP damage is gonna be nice. Then you have the battle skill, deals necrotic damage to enemies within range and ignores 30% of their target's defense when the skill hits 2 enemies and more. Then gains 30% shadow energy. You have the ultimate, strikes enemies within range 3 times, with each strike dealing necrotic damage. So this is a bit different than the previous. The passive doesn't say that you need to do anything in particular to activate your ultimate, but you can actually just do it once you're gonna get the energy. But how you may notice is not on time. Initial required energy 30 to 100 in order to actually activate the skill. So instead of the regular energy, you have this. Interesting. I'm very curious to see how it's going to work out. Then we have Dargo, Corrosion Epic, Attack Aura for Series of Trials. The passive, when attacking enemies whose current corrosion is less than 30% of their max HP with skills, the corrosion damage dealt will be increased by 30%. Interesting. So I feel like corrosion sounds to be very powerful. Deals attack poison damage to the enemy with the currently highest corrosion and converts 50% of the damage dealt to corrosion. Then the ultimate summons 5 orbs to strike random enemies in turn. Enemies without corrosion will be attacked first. Each strike deals damage to them and converts 50% of the damage dealt in corrosion. How I mentioned, I will be doing videos to test each one of them and see how they work, guys. Then we have Dragonheir, another corrosion epic. When an enemy inflicted with corrosion dies, the hero gains attack up for 10 seconds and recharges 10% ultimate energy. The battle skill strikes an enemy twice, with each strike dealing damage and converting 60% of the damage dealt to corrosion. 60%, so this is the first one that has more than 50. Then you have the ultimate, deals 700 attack damage to enemies within range, deals additional damage to enemies inflicted with corrosion. So this seems to be a good amount of damage from here. Definitely 1000% attack. Seems pretty nice. Then moving over to the next one, we have, of course, Gagnu, another corrosion one. Looks pretty nice with a purple gems. Inflicts 15% attack corrosion to the attacker when taking damage, and also increases corrosion inflicted to enemies around the hero by 25%. Then you have the battle skill, deals damage to enemies within range and converts 40% of the damage dealt to corrosion, and strikes enemies within range 3 times, with each strike dealing damage and converting 40% of damage to corrosion. The more damage you're going to deal, the more of it is going to get converted to corrosion, which will be damage taken over time, but you're basically constantly adding damage on top of that, and the enemy will take it over time rather than in a blast, So it's gonna be nice and much easier to build these heroes than the actual poison ones, because they need enlightenment, accuracy, and all the rest of the things, Then we have a Shadow Epic, seems like it's only one, if I'm not mistaken, from the summoning. Pathot. Attack Aura for Series of Trials. Dealing damage grants Shadow Energy. When the hero has enough Shadow Energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. Whenever an enemy dies, the hero gains 10 Shadow Energy. Then fires an orb that can bounce up to 6 times, each dealing damage and grants 5 Shadow Energy. The ultimate strikes enemies within range over time, with each strike consuming 20 Shadow Energy and dealing necrotic damage on them. During a single cast of the skill, each strike increases the damage of the subsequent strike by 10% up to 10 times. So it's clear from the very beginning, these shadow heroes, they will require a lot of attack speed, because the more basic skills they're doing, the more often they are using their skills, the more energy they will gain. So that will allow them to use their skills more often. Very similar with the Dauntless in a way or another. It is a bit different, but kind of like the same sort of concept in a way with their basic skills. Like you're going to rely a lot on them. Then we have the auras, which again, they might require pretty much the same thing. Carrot. And we have a crit damage aura for Series of Trials. Enters the blaze state when in possession of 100 aura energy, the exact same thing. grants ultimate skill damage bonus for 20 seconds to an aura ally whenever they enter the blaze state. Increases the ultimate skill damage by 40%. That's actually a very nice touch in there. This is very similar with the shadow, in my opinion. Consumes aura energy when casting skills to enhance the damage, basically. The battle skill gains 10 aura energy, dealing radiant damage to enemies within range. And you have the ultimate, 500% attack, 7% target's max HP, damage to enemies within range, consumes 25 aura energy in the blaze state to grant 20% attack up for 10 seconds to all aura allies. Gains 50 aura energy if not in the blaze state. The only thing is, the aura heroes, they still have the recharge time rather than having just the shadow energy like the shadow heroes do, you know. So they are pretty much similar ideas, in my opinion. Attack up speed again, and yes, you're going to enhance your skills with this, you know. She looks pretty nice. Then we have Narzila, and she's another aura hero. Attack aura for all battles. Finally, an aura for all battles. I was waiting for it. Then the passive enters the blaze state when in possession of 100 aura energy, increasing the hero's attack by 5% for each buff they have, up to 20 times. That can be a lot of attack, though. You can gain a lot of attack from here. Then the battle skill gains 15 aura energy, dealing attack damage and targets max HP. We have quite a few targets max HP damage dealers now to the enemy. Consumes 5 aura energy to extend the duration of all of the hero's buffs by 3 seconds while in the blaze state. Okay. Then the ultimate gains crit damage for 10 seconds and deals radiant damage to an enemy. In the next 8 seconds, whenever an aura ally attacks, the hero will assist their attack once to deal 2.4% of the target's max HP. This effect can only be triggered once every 2 seconds, while in the blaze state, consumes 5 aura energy to launch another coordinated attack. When launching a coordinated attack, gains 30 aura energy if the hero is not in the blaze state. Interesting. So that's how you're going to exit the blaze state, by using all the energy. Once you're out of energy, the blaze state expires, then you're going to accumulate energy and go back to the blaze state again, you know. And we're moving over to the legendaries now, guys. We have quite a few legendaries. We have 3 exclusives with exclusive artifacts, and let's start with the exclusives. So we have Rook right here, a corrosion. He looks pretty damn awesome. Look at him. A rat riding another rat. Isn't that crazy, right? And he is going to be absolutely insane. Attack aura in all battles. You have the passive, increases damage dealt to enemies with current HP of more than 50% by 30%. So when they have a lot of HP, like the Vortex does, you're going to increase the damage dealt to them. And same with the Chaos Shadow bosses or the rest. Then you have the battle skill. It's a weird range, but that's where the boss is usually, you know, so you need to make sure you're 2 tiles away from the boss. Summons a giant rat to strike enemies within range, dealing attack damage, and deals additional damage once for every 10,000 corrosion on the target. Ignores the enemy's shield. Then you have the ultimate. Casts the spell 3 times, each dealing poison damage to enemies within range, and deals additional damage once for every 10,000 corrosion on the target. Ignores the enemy's shield. So 10,000 corrosion damage is basically, if you do a 20,000 hit with a different hero, 50% of that 20,000 will be converted into corrosion damage, and that is 10,000 right there for you. So it's going to be pretty nasty, especially with the exclusive artifact. Then we have the shadow one, Ozul. Attack aura for arena. Then we have the battle skill. Dealing damage grants shadow energy. When the hero has enough shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. The hero permanently gains 1 stack of undispellable host imprint for every 50 shadow energy obtained, up to 5 stacks. The host imprint means that each stack increases the crit damage by 10% and defense penetration by 5%. That actually sounds pretty interesting. He seems to be able to do quite a bit of damage once he's going to stack the host imprint. The battle skill fires an orb at the target, dealing necrotic damage to the target and enemies around them. When the hero is in demon form, deals 600 necrotic damage to enemies within 2 tiles around the hero instead, and then gains 20 shadow energy. The ultimate transforms into a demon in the designated location. While in the demon form, the hero gains attack speed up, damage reduction, with their basic attacks splashing on enemies around the target, then deals 750% attack damage to enemies within range. The hero consumes 10 shadow energy every 1 second in the demon form, and exits it when shadow energy is depleted. That actually sounds really, really nice. And he cannot be targeted either. That's crazy. That is crazy. He can do so much damage in PvP like this. Very, very solid hero right here. That actually is insane. Absolutely nuts. Let's see the next one. So we have the Aura. Amon Leda. She looks really, really nice in terms of design though. We have a crit damage aura in Series of Trials. Why not all battles? So many Series of Trials auras. Then you have the passive. Enters the blaze state when in possession of 100 aura energy, increasing damage by 30% when in the blaze state. The hero's attacks guarantee crit hits. So I would assume you don't need any crit rate on her whatsoever. It doesn't specify it if it's only in the blaze state. Gains invincibility for 5 seconds if the hero's current HP is below 30% after taking damage, during which time the hero's attacks are guaranteed critical hits. This effect can only be triggered once every 60 seconds. Okay, so you need to be in the blaze state for it, actually. It makes more sense now that you read the whole thing. The battle skill grants aura energy, dealing damage to enemies within range, centered on the current target, and gains a shield for 5 seconds. Each enemy hit by the skill grants an additional 20% shield strength, while in the blaze state consumes 5 aura energy to deal additional damage to enemies. So this is 6% of the target's max HP or 200% of the hero's attack. Very similar with the Gambler set, actually. Then you have the ultimate. Deals attack damage to enemies within range. Consumes 20 aura energy to strike enemies within range 2 additional times in the blaze state. With each strike dealing target max HP damage, and gains energy if not in the blaze state. So a lot of enemy max HP characters, guys. A lot of them. 10% is actually very interesting. I'm very curious to see what sort of damage this hero can deal, you know. Then we have Aspalta. She looks awesome, right? We have a shadow hero right here. Love the blades. Super, super awesome. The costume, she looks really nice. Attack in all battles. Dealing damage grants shadow energy. When the hero has enough shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. As the battle starts, grants 100 stacks of the Hearts of Fate to all shadow allies, and loses 1 stack of this status every 1 second afterwards. Increases the damage by 0.5%. So basically you instantly have the damage increase by 50% on all of your shadow allies. Very, very nice. Then you have the battle skill. Throws a shadow blade at a target, dealing necrotic damage to them and necrotic damage to enemies within a target center range in the meantime. Gains shadow energy for each enemy hit and gains an additional 200 shadow energy when casting this skill in the battle for the first time. Okay, so you're gonna get a lot of energy with this skill right here, and you're gonna be able to basically drop this ultimate twice if you have 200 energy. Is that how it's going to work? Grants 20 shadow energy to all shadow allies. Strikes enemies within range 3 times, dealing damage, ignoring 50% of the enemy's defense. Again, we have a lot of heroes that ignore defense this season. Moving over to the next one, we have Sacridia. Love the design on this one. She looks so badass, so evil. Corrosion hero, attack aura for dungeons. Then we have the battle skill. The passive, inflicts 10% attack corrosion to all enemies. Seems like we have a bit of a bug right here with the description. Then the battle skill deals damage to enemies within range, centered around the enemy, and converts 50% of the damage to corrosion. Then the ultimate deals attack damage to enemies, increases corrosion inflicted on all enemies by 25% up to 1200 of the hero's attack, deals extra damage, and 60% of the increased corrosion to all enemies afterwards. Okay, deals extra damage equal to 60% to all enemies afterwards. Sounds interesting. Very curious to see how she will perform in battle, because I haven't tested any of these schools of damage yet, guys, so they sound very interesting on paper. I'm very curious to see how powerful they are. Then we have Stangwem, a defense for the lightning element. She looks so badass with the big axes and the drums around her waist. Really, really cool. You have a resistance aura in arena. The passive, when in possession of a buff, basic attacks cast a lightning chain that bounces between enemies up to 4 times, dealing damage and dispelling 1 buff from them each time. Then the damage will slowly be reduced for each hit. The battle skill, the hero gains invincibility for 3 seconds and gains a shield for 5 seconds when exiting the state. 3 seconds to be invincible. That is actually very nice because it allows you to recover a lot of HP, and then you're gaining a shield too. Very nice. The ultimate dispels all debuffs from the hero and grants control immunity and defense up to all allies for 10 seconds. So this is definitely more of an arena tank. It's actually a very interesting one. Control immunity, defense up, and that battle skill is pretty nice, and dispel buffs with a battle skill. Then we have Victor, a support for the fire element. Accuracy aura in all battles. Marks the enemy when the hero inflicts a debuff on them. The mark lasts the same as the debuff. Healing received by the marked enemy reduces by 35% the ultimate energy of their healer. Will also be reduced by 30% as the enemy receives healing. This effect can only be triggered once every 5 seconds. This is actually super interesting. Messing up the enemy healer. Such a cool mechanic. Such a cool mechanic, actually. Then you have the battle skill. Deals fire damage to an enemy and dispels all of their buffs and removes all of their shield with a chance of putting buff prohibition. Okay, so this is just one enemy. The ultimate deals fire damage to all enemies and converts up to 2 of their buffs to random debuffs. So that's nice. You're basically replacing their buffs into debuffs: recharge speed penalty, buff prohibition, blind, accuracy penalty, or attack penalty. After the conversion, if any enemy has less than 2 debuffs, there is a 100% chance of additionally inflicting 2 random debuffs on them for 10 seconds, randomly selected from the following. Okay, pretty interesting. So you have a chance to put quite a few debuffs on the enemy, but it's not as reliable to be able to put the one you want, you know. So I'm not a fan of randomness usually. Then we have Dianta, Aura hero. Super cool design. She looks so peaceful. Attack aura for all battles. Enters the blaze state when in possession of 100 aura energy. Whenever the hero consumes the aura energy, the next basic attack will fire an orb that bounces up 4 times, dealing damage. And the number of orbs fired can be accumulated. Interesting. Then you have the battle skill. Grants 10 aura energy to all aura allies. Deals radiant damage to enemies within range. While in the blaze state, consumes 5 aura energy to deal additional target max HP damage. And it cannot be more than 250% of her attack. Then you have the ultimate. Deals attack damage and enemy max HP damage to enemies within range with a chance of inflicting full bloom to them for 10 seconds. The full bloom increases damage taken from aura heroes by 20%. So she's kind of gonna be a must in the aura team if you really wanna get the most out of them. During which the aura energy consumed by all allies will be returned at the cost of depleting 10 aura energy of the hero instead, gaining 35 aura energy if not in the blaze. Yeah, she's definitely going to be very important for the aura heroes. She's going to be like Sheena for the Ice Blast in Season 2 by the looks of it. Then we have a new Corrosion, Whisk, and another Rat. The passive, when under invisibility, damage dealt will be increased by 30% and Corrosion will be increased by 15%. So you want this one together with the with Rook, the big red. Then gains invisibility for 5 seconds and strikes the farthest enemy from the hero 3 times in the meantime, with each strike dealing poison damage and converting 50% of the damage dealt to corrosion. Pretty nice, actually. And I like that we don't really have any that deal damage based on enlightenment or derivative damage this season. They definitely changed it quite a bit. Gains invisibility for 5 seconds and attack up for 10 seconds, deals poison damage to enemies within range, and converts 50% of the damage dealt to corrosion afterwards. So this hero is constantly going to be under invisibility, and that passive is going to increase the corrosion damage a lot. So you're going to need to pair this one with another corrosion to really get full firepower from them. Then we have Daphne, a shadow hero. Love the design on this one as well. She looks really, really awesome. You have attack aura in dungeon battles. Dealing damage grants shadow energy. When the hero has enough shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. The hero gains an additional 20 shadow energy. Also, if the hero possesses a target when gaining shadow energy, the possessed target gains the same amount of shadow energy. Ooh, possessing somebody. Let's see what else we're finding out about that. The battle skill randomly attacks up to 3 enemies, dealing necrotic damage and gaining shadow energy on each enemy hit. 30 shadow energy right there. This skill can be cast when possessing an ally. Ooh, you're possessing allies with this hero. And look at the recharge time. Very, very good, actually. The ultimate possesses an ally for 15 seconds, during which time the possessed target deals 80 attack necrotic damage to nearby enemies every 1 second. So that will add up quite a bit of damage. The possessed target gains attack up to equal to 35% of Daphne's attack. When the possessed target deals damage, 8% of the damage dealt will be converted to their HP. So basically to their healing, I would assume. That sounds really, really interesting. I cannot wait to try this hero out. Then we have a new fire one, and it's Cinerel, another support one. Pretty badass looking. Attack aura for Series of Trials. The passive, when the hero skill hits an enemy, there's a chance of inflicting attack penalty on them for 10 seconds, and the infliction cannot be resisted. Also, when the hero uses a skill to heal an ally, the hero himself gains a healing of 50% of the current healing granted. Very, very nice. This can almost make him a tank too because of it. The battle skill fires 3 fireballs to strike random enemies, with each fireball dealing attack fire damage and healing the ally with the currently lowest percentage of HP by 150% attack. Scrap that part with the tank. You need attack to get good healing. The ultimate skill, yeah, so the healing is based on attack, so you cannot make him a tank. Selects an ally, dispels all of their debuffs, and grants them invincibility. When invincibility on the ally expires, the hero deals attack fire damage to all enemies and heals all allies by 500% attack. Wow! This is going to be a solid healer for the fire element. Something that was really, really needed. Shame is not an epic or a rare, but he's going to be solid for whoever summons him. And you don't need to pair him with a specific damage of a school of damage, sorry. It doesn't need to be with wild or burn. It can go with all of them. Then we have a new lightning defense hero. And Phantom Down. We have attack aura in all dungeons. The passive, the hero has a 50% chance of reducing the current damage taken by 50% when taking damage, and heals themselves by 8% of the max HP. This can only trigger every 3 seconds. Then you have the battle skill, gains debuff immunity for 5 seconds, dealing damage to enemies within range, and inflicts knock up and stun on them for 3 seconds. And it's a pretty good range for a battle skill, you know? This is going to be very nice in PvP as well. The ultimate skill casts the spell for 8 seconds, summons lightning bolts to strike random enemies every 1 second, in the meantime, dealing 100% attack lightning damage to the target, and all enemies nearby with a chance of inflicting attack penalty, and reduces their ultimate energy. So he's going to be an interesting tank. He doesn't have very high base defense, but he's going to be able to stay alive with a passive, most probably. He's going to get some nice healing every 3 seconds, you know. Then we have a new aura, legendary, Linkos. I think we saw this in Season 1, right, in the campaign. Attack for the City of Trials. Enters the blaze state when in possession of 100 aura energy. Gains 50 aura energy as the battle starts. So that's gonna be very, very quick for him. You have the battle skill. Gains 15% aura energy and strikes the enemies within range 3 times. Dealing radiant damage. While in the blaze state, consumes 5 aura energy to deal additional 2% target's max HP damage. No more than 100% of the hero's attack to enemies with each strike. Then we have the ultimate skill. Deals attack radiant damage to all enemies. Grants 35 aura energy to the aura ally with the highest attack in the meantime. If in the blaze state, summons an accompanies to follow the aura ally with the highest attack, while if not in the blaze state, gains 35% aura energy. So they really seem to be all about enemy max HP, these aura heroes. At least that's what I've noticed so far. And then we have the very first couple, guys. We have some solid frost heroes. We have Theodemer, which is a defense tank from the frost element. You can see his bride coming to grab him, and defense aura for arena. The passive, the hero cannot obtain a shield. For each enemy on the field that targets them, gains 1 stack of new Liweed's Wow, up to 5 stacks. Decreases the damage taken by 5, increases the healing received by 10%. The hero gains the following additional effects when deployed with the partner, with Finja. Invincibility and block debuffs for 10 seconds, and 100% ultimate energy when their HP drops to 0% for the very first time during a battle. Then you have the battle skill. Strikes the enemy 3 times, each strike dealing damage, and reduces their ultimate energy by 10%. If the target drops all the ultimate energy to 0, the hero gains an additional 25% ultimate energy, and the third strike has a chance to put attack penalty. Very nice. The ultimate skill gains defense up and damage reduction for 10 seconds, deals damage to all enemies with a chance of inflicting a taunt on them for 5 seconds. Very nice. So this is definitely very PvP orientated, and Feymander and Pillar of Trials. But you have a lot of enemies, waves and stuff, you know? So very, very interesting right there. And then we have Finja, support hero. We have Enlightenment in all battles. You have the passive. Whenever an ally gains or loses a buff, the hero heals them by 7.5% target's max HP, 1200 Enlightenment. This effect can only be triggered once every 3 seconds. When healing Theodemer, the healing effect is further increased by 50%. Pretty interesting. She's definitely going to be very strong with him together and without him. The battle skill dispels all debuffs from the ally with the currently lowest percentage of HP, heals them by 10% target's max HP and 2000 Enlightenment, and grants them recovery over time. Then you have the ultimate. Heals all allies by 20% of the target's max HP and 3000 Enlightenment, grants them resistance up, and deals attack damage to enemies within range. In the meantime, has a chance of inflicting a blind on them and ignores 50% of their resistance. Woucher! What an amazing healer! I want her. I need her. I need a strong healer like this for my frost element. And it's good that they're not tied to the new types of damage. And I'll be very honest with you guys. We have a few new heroes that are with the new school of damage. But the rest of the heroes that are not related to it, they're awesome to support the elemental affinities that they are part of. And I think they've done a great job with the new heroes. The visuals are just mind-blowing, you know, they're very, very nice. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of the new heroes that are being added in Season 3? Thanks again to Dragonheir for sponsoring today's video. If you guys want to get involved and download Dragonheir, you can do so by clicking the link in the description down below, or in the pinned comment, or by scanning the QR code you see on the screen. But I'll catch you all in the next video where we're going to review the new gear sets and artifacts. Peace.